he was going to be soon indicting or seen before. I think it's going to truly put not only President Trump and his family, all of his staff, put them to a test they've never been tested on, but it's also going to test our nation. And it's something that I've prayed about a lot.
strangers. Believe me when I say, loving me is loving danger. Your heart is bound to break. I walk alone in the night, beneath the pale moon. Loving's for the fools. Baby, beware of my body. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a creeping through the shadows and the corners of your mind. I go where the wind blows. I run but I don't hide. I hear the call of the wild, whispering the name. No, I can't be tamed. My heart belongs to the night. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a
Alright guys, we are here. Well, I am here. I am co-host of this today. He has an appointment, which is completely good. It's all good. But today's just going to be mostly about the indictment. That's all it's going to be about. Alright. So guys, obviously, let's just start. We'll start with the news and how they're handling it, because media. Like I've always said, if you ever want to lose faith in the media, study journalism. So Donald Trump has been indicted in special counsel's 2020 election interference probe. So Donald Trump has been indicted by a federal grand jury on 4 criminal counts on special counsel Jack Smith's investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election leading up to January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. Shortly after the election day, the defendant also pursued unlawful means to discarding legitimate votes and subverting the election results, the indictment states. Now, here's the kicker about all this stuff, right? Is that if you're claiming that he wanted to, and it's not basically, it doesn't actually say that in the indictment, we know because we've actually got the actual indictment here. We'll go through it. But according to Robert Barnes, if you go through and you're trying to make this argument, Donald Trump conspired with lawyers and advisors to expose the constitutionally flawed election 2020. Saying the emperor is naked is now a crime. When it comes to exposing corruption in America, no, hang on, where's the one we tweeted? To be clear, the DOJ indicted Trump for what the Senate already acquitted him on. And there's a part where he breaks it down. He basically says that if you claim that Trump, that this line of thought, you basically have to make the assumption that Trump went through and fraudulently knew that he did not win the election. The problem with that is that for the past so many years, they've actually been trying to make it the case that at the end of the day is that he did believe this, and that's why he's delusional, because no one would actually believe that they won the election, blah, 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 blah. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't sit there and claim that, at the end of the day, that Trump is delusional because he believes that he won the election, but then later claim that Trump is not delusional and he's actually committed fraud because he knew he didn't win the election. You can't have it both ways. But we'll get into the actual indictment itself, right? So, can we make this thing any bigger? So, indictment. The grand jury charges that all these times material to the indictment are on about the dates and approximate to the state. So, this is a general thing, right? Induction. Defendant Donald Trump was the 45th president of the United States of America and a candidate for the 2020 election. The defendant lost the 2020 presidential election. Okay, well, that's yeah. That's your belief, but yeah, keep going. It's not that's still, for a large amount of people that is still contested, but regardless. Despite having lost, the defendant was determined to remain in power. Right, well, he wasn't obviously that determined to remain in power, because if he was, well, then he'd still be in power, right? Like, there are plenty of things that he could have done to stay in power that weren't completely legal. Like, you got to remember, this is the media that was saying that Trump was going to weaponize the army against the Washington to stage a coup. They actually claimed that at one stage. If he wanted to remain in power, that was obviously something he could have done, right? So you're saying that he wanted to remain in power, and he was determined to remain in power, but he obviously wasn't that determined, because he could have done something other stuff, which I agree is totally bad, but he could have done so much more to stay in power if he was that determined, right? So he's obviously not that determined. So for more than 2 months following Election Day on November 3rd, 2022, the defendant spread lies that had been outcome determinatives fraud in the election, and that he had actually won. Hillary Clinton tried to make the same argument. She tried to claim that Donald Trump was an illegitimate president. These claims were false, according to you, and the defendant knew they were false. Right, so this is the problem. They're claiming here that he knew they were false. Right? But for the past 2 years, they've been going on about how he knew they were true. He believed they were true. So how do you sit there and say Trump believes he won, he's cuckoo, but then when it comes to an indictment, Trump knew they were false, so therefore he's wrong? That's okay. It's all good, Ari. So at the end of the day, yeah, it's sort of like you can't sit there and you can't have your cake and eat it too. But the defendant repeated and widely disseminated them anyway. Well, if we're going to talk about people disseminating information that's provably false, okay, the Russian dossier? Are we going to talk about the Russian dossier? To make knowledge false appearing legitimate, creating the intent innocent. So already 2 is very, very flimsy. The defendant had the right, like every American, to speak publicly about the election and to even claim falsely that there had been an outcome. Right, so 2's no longer valid, because you're just saying he has the right to challenge it, and that was literally your argument and point for 2. During the election and had won, he also had entitled to formally challenge the results of the election through lawful and appropriate means. Right, which is what he did. Such as seeking reaccounts, audits, or the popular vote in states filing lawsuit challenges. Indeed, in many cases, the defendant did pursue these methods. Right, cool. His efforts to change the outcome in any state, though, recounts, audits, or legal challenge were uniformly unsuccessful. In a lot of the cases, they weren't even heard. They were just rejected by the courts, which is really, really suspicious. But anyway. Shortly after Election Day, the defendant also pursued unlawful means of discounting legitimate votes and subverting the election results. In doing so, the defendant perpetrated 3 criminal conspiracies. The conspiracy to defraud the United States by using dishonest fraud and deceit to impair, obstruct, and defeat the lawful federal government function by which the results of the presidential election are collected, counted, and certified by the federal government. So they're claiming that he conspired a conspiracy to defraud the United States by using dishonest fraud and deceit to impair, obstruct, and defeat the lawful government function. But you said up here that he had every right to speak out about the election and to raise questions about the election. So he has every right to do it, but by him doing it, he conspired to defraud the United States. Are you guys bipolar? I'm confused. A conspiracy to corruptly obstruct and impede the January 6th congressional process at which he collected results of the presidential elections, counted and certified. Now, this is obviously talking in regards to the Pence thing, right? I saw lawyers break it down, and at the end of the day, Pence, there's big questions about whether Pence could or could not do what he wanted, right? But at the end of the day, the whole the whole Missouri 16, them going through putting in these electors that they believed won, all this sort of stuff. According to Barnes, that's actually not right. It's not illegal. You can do that, and that this whole Missouri 16, Mississippi, whatever it was, 16. This whole thing is basically debunked. A conspiracy against the right to vote and have one's vote counted in violation of the... So, what did he do to conspire against the right to vote? Did Trump run around and steal ballot boxes? I'm a little confused. What exactly did he do to conspire against the right to vote? So the allegations contained in paragraphs through 4 of this indictment are alleged and fully incorporated here by reference. Yeah. So from on or about November the 14th through to January 20th, 2021, the District of Columbia and elsewhere and the defendant, Donald Trump, did knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with conspirators, unknowing to the grand jury, to defraud the United States by using dishonest fraud and deceit. Once again, you've already said he had the right to challenge the election. So he has the right to challenge the election, but by him challenging the election means that he conspired to stop the election. Bipolar anybody? The purpose of the conspiracy was to overturn the legitimate, your argument, results of the 2020 presidential election by using, like I say, there's a lot of people still believe that's not true. By using or knowing false claims of the election fraud to obstruct. The whole Democratic Party has used this argument for election fraud, stole the election, for since Eisenhower. Even Hillary has claimed this. So I presume the indictment for Hillary Clinton is around the corner, right? The defendant enlisted conspirators to assist him in his criminal efforts to overturn the election. I presume they're talking about his lawyers. Co-conspirator, I am an attorney who is willing to spread knowledge, false claims, and pursue strategies that the defendant's 2020 re-election campaign attorney would not. Co-conspirator 2, I am an attorney who devised... Yeah, they're going after his attorneys. Conspirator 3 is an attorney. Conspirator 4, a Justice Department official. Conspirator 5 is an attorney. And 6 is a political consultant who helps implement a plan. So I wonder if that's like Roger Stone or something. So, look, at the end of the day, here's the thing that everybody needs to realise. This doesn't stop Trump from running in 2024. And this is obviously not going to turn his base off him anyway. So, not only are you not going to stop him from running, not only are you probably energizing his base to get out and vote for him, you're also encouraging anybody who's in the middle of the road or who's unsure about who to vote for, possibly to vote for Trump. No one's going to look at this and think, wow, Trump did all this, but Hillary did it 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever, so that was fine. People are going to look at this and go, yeah, this is sounding a lot like what Hillary did. or what Al Gore did when he lost the election to Bush. So at the end of the day, people are just going to be like, like, seriously, anybody who looks at this and doesn't think, wow, this is ridiculous, is probably people with Trump derangement syndrome. And we'll break down some of the hot takes on the X's in a sec. But so obviously here is Mela MTG talking about it. So she mentions there that Jack Smith has terrible losses when it comes to court. Let me see if I can find. By the way, they spent $5.4 million on investigating this as of July 7th. Yeah. He's a terrible lawyer because I can't find. There was someone I was watching that was talking about him. But anyway, we'll keep moving. Maybe I'll find it in a sec. So you've got like the anti-establishment people coming out, towing the establishment line. Like, for example, here you've got the Republicans against Trump. In other words, the establishment. Still true. There'll be a day when Trump is gone, and your dishonor will remain. Now, I simply responded to this. You're literally quoting the establishment. Bro, your colours are showing. Right. How many bombs has Liz Cheney been responsible for dropping? Like, are we really going to talk about morality from a war hawk? Then we got Special Counsel Jack Smith speaks on his indictment of former President Donald Trump. He just looks like a guy that's like sitting there, like all giddy and all excited. Like, listen to how he's speaking. Oh, I don't know. Maybe he has asthma or something, but he seems very, very, oh my God, we got him. Oh, yes, we got him. He's like trying to hold it in. By the way, the indictment is just the government's argument, right? So when you read the indictment and you're deciding whether you believe it or whether you think it's right or wrong, keep in mind that it's just, like they say, you can indict a ham sandwich. Doesn't mean the ham sandwich has done anything wrong. So all an indictment is the government's saying, we believe you've done this. So if I was to say anything to anybody, I would be, hey, read both sides of the argument. So what I find really, really interesting about this, right, and the question that no Democrat will ever ask is, why now? Well, if all these Democrats are sitting there and are true and are saying, this has nothing to do with him running in 2024, which, by the way, they break themselves because they literally say that. But we'll get to that. But, like, the argument I've heard from most of the Democratic side is, this has nothing to do with him running in 2024. This is because he tried to overthrow an election. Right. But you only indicted him after he announced he was running in 2024. You didn't care up until that point. Up until that point, no one gave two shits. As far as Donald Trump goes, he could have ran off to Mar-a-Lago and spent the rest of his retirement there and not given two shits. And they probably wouldn't have gone after him, right? So, if it's all about him breaking the law, and that's the reason why they're doing it, why are you going after him after he announced? If it's not about stopping or trying to stop this man from running, why are you going after him after he announced? And why are you going after him after DeSantis's numbers are going in the toilet? As DeSantis goes further and further down, they put out more and more indictments. What I think, okay, so here's my hot take, right? I think at the end of the day, DeSantis is establishment light. Is he totally bought and paid for? No, probably not. But he will play ball, and they know this, right? They know he will play ball. So they would prefer him rather than Trump. Oops. They prefer him over Trump. But at the end of the day, his numbers are going into the toilet. And they know he probably won't win if Trump runs. So, what do? Well, we have to stop Trump from running. How do we do that? Well, we indict him. We just keep indicting him. And I guess they're kind of hoping, which would normally probably work actually, but not in this case. They were probably hoping that if they throw enough indictments at this guy, that someone out there will believe that at least one of them is true, right? It's the good old saying, if there's smoke, there's got to be fire. If he's got 64 indictments against him, there's got to be something he's done wrong, right? It's a sheer weight of numbers. There's got to be something that he's done that is probably illegal. And there probably is something that Trump's done that's probably illegal. But it's like we're just going to bury you in indictments, drain your funds, make you go through and actually defend all these cases, cripple you financially, drain your PAC money, and stop you from running. Because our candidate is so bad that he's literally a case of Weekend at Bernie's. Makes you wonder too, if Trump doesn't pull out, right, and he does win the nominee for the Republican, are they going to replace Bernie? Joe Biden, obviously. But I'm calling him Bernie because of the weekend of Bernie's. Are they going to replace Biden? Because at the moment, they must be looking at him and thinking, this guy is going to have problems winning against Trump. If we can't stop him from being indicted, and he does run, what is plan F or G or Z or whatever we're up to now? You know, like, do we replace Bernie, Joe Biden? Or are we just going to, like, just keep trying to, like, indict Trump for, like, everything under the sun? I love when you get the establishment talking about patriotism. They let the guys walk through. Is he talking about the... Hang on. They defended the US Capitol. Are we really... Are we really going to go there? I tell you what, I can't find anything on Google. Wow, the astroturfing right now. Try bro search. So, right, so they're claiming that the people of January 6th, the policemen and women, were defending the Capitol, right? Like, this is literally, like, this is what he says here. Right, so they defended the US Capitol. Really? Really? They're defending it because they're literally walking through there with him. Here they are, guys, defending him. They're defending the US Capitol, everybody. Everybody, hold on. We're going to defend it any minute now. Any minute. Any minute we're going to defend them. Oh, wait, no, hang on. We can't go that way. The door's locked. Hang on. We'll have to get you to come in through the other way. We'll go around, right? Yeah, but defending, we're going to defend it. Just hold up. We're going to walk him through the Capitol and take him through this side door. We're going to defend it in a minute. Any minute now, we're going to defend the Capitol. After we let him in. Like, yeah. Any minute now, we're going to defend it. Any minute now. And look, I'm not laughing about him calling them patriots, right? Every law enforcement is obviously patriotic. But at the end of the day, I'm just laughing about him saying about how they defended the building and put their bodies on the line when they literally walked the guy through the building. And it's funny because no Democrat is actually doing any of that. You just look at him on Twitter right now. But he's had to say that legally. So, obviously, you then have people like Lindsey Graham. He's speaking out. Let's see what he has to say. Now, keep in mind, this guy is establishment. I can't stand Lindsey Graham, but let's see what he has to say. Yeah, and I totally agree with him, actually. But, yeah. Looks like, guys, we've just lost the internet for a sec. So, yeah. We'll keep going, and hopefully it all comes back. So, you got Rob Reiner, who's a elitist filmmaker, actor, producer, husband, and father. But he's literally like establishment. The Department of Justice has done its part. Now it's the US to keep the criminal out of the White House. But, you know, as Jack Smith has just literally said, he's innocent till proven guilty, right? My response, and you wonder what it's all, and this is what it's all about. Keeping him out of the White House. A whole bunch of elites want to keep him out of the White House because they care so much about you. Or maybe they want to keep him out of the White House because he cares about you. That was my response. You got people here. The Democrats do not have an answer to President Trump. They see the polls. Yeah, it's actually quite a good response. President Trump's poll numbers just went up another 10%. I like that. Yeah. So, the more he's charged, the more I'll know I'll be voting for him. Yeah. And then obviously you got more Republicans against Trump. Every Republican president candidate should call on Trump to drop out of the race immediately. And this is what it's all about. This here. They're literally, this is the establishment saying the quiet part out loud. And this is what I wrote and this is what the real reason why they are doing this. It has nothing to do with morals or being a threat to democracy. It's because he's a threat to the establishment. Agree, it's the right thing to do. He's an irreparably damaged to the Republican Party. You're not even a Republican, bro. Yeah, so like, you want him to take it out of the race because you know you can't beat him. But nice try, though. Exactly. I should agree with that. Every Republican president should stand with Trump and against these coordinated attacks. Yeah, screw you. Why isn't he easiest candidate to beat? Well, that's what they keep claiming, right? That he's this easiest candidate to beat. But you know, they've got to try and take him out through, you know, alternative motives. Obviously, Robert Barnes has been going through and has been talking about this. Jack Smith claimed the indictment was about the January 6th riot, but the text of the indictment and the charges it contains does not connect Trump to the violence. It doesn't, no. It's all about him and trying to overturn the election. This is the same thing they tried and impeached January 6th committee for, and he was actually, spared. Well, they claimed it was actually not true. Well, this is the same they tried to impeach January 6th committee, claimed that Trump lies, and he appears to believe them and are to blame. Read my tweets from 2017. Am I anything closer to a Trump superfan? My goodness, his failures to act broke my heart. I will be done with this campaign. But this is a nuclear attack on my country. The 2020 election was rigged, and they're trying to throw Trump in prison before the 2024 election because they're not confident they'll be able to dig this one. That's true. There's no virus. There's no... And it makes you wonder, will they actually go through and release one? Are they that deranged? Are they that desperate? Like, they must be looking at 2020 thinking COVID gave us the ultimate response because we could go through and basically take in every mail ballot and every postal vote without any identification checks or anything like that. They must be looking at that and thinking, like, can we do this again? I don't know. Unsurprisingly, this is getting zero traction. A small committee bank in Kansas, not even a regional, so who cares? Well, for a bank with 139 million in total assets. Oh, okay. First Bank of Kansas, all the deposits State Bank. So this is this evening, the Kansas Bank Commissioner closed the Heartland Tri-State Bank of Ethe to protect depositors. The entered into an agreement with the Dream First State Bank to assume all the deposits of the Heartland State Bank. Another bank just closed. And, of course, we don't hear about that, of course. So, Barnes on Trump. Trump indictment translated. Donald Trump conspired with lawyers and advisors to expose the constitutionally flawed election of 2020. Saying the emperor is naked is now a crime. Analysis of the predicted markets in politics, elections, and finance up and posted. Profits up big in 2023. When it comes to exposing a new corruption of American criminal justice, the Trump indictment shows how naked the emperor of the injustice really is. Here is the full Trump indictment, which we've also gone through. Read it quickly. It appears to be the recital of already reported allegations. So none of the defendants reside in D.C., nor any of the key witnesses. The jury pool produced predictors and witness convinced warrant transferring the case to Florida. Judicial Economy recommends assignment to the Florida federal judge presiding over the Trump case. To be clear, Biden, DOJ, indicted Trump for what the state already acquitted him for. Which is true. They did. They tried to impeach him for this. And the Senate has already acquitted him for it. The main the main law they claim gives a federal function to the base to the entire indictment around the Election Act is likely unconstitutional itself. There was no greater and more consequential hoax in a modern America history than the Russia collusion hoax, yet the DOJ never charged anyone with conspiring or conspiracy to defraud the United States, though that's what it was. Reason, the DOJ itself was a co-conspirator. 100%. If you want to go after someone for supposedly going through and conspiracy to defraud the United States, okay, let's go after everybody that pushed the Russia hoax. The Durham report that was released has literally admitted that Russia hoax is completely fabricated, and that not only that, but the FBI itself, I think it was Comey, was actually responsible for bearing evidence that actually would have nipped this whole Russia thing in the butt. Let's see if I can. We haven't really covered the Durham report. So it's more than 300 pages, but we can go through it. I presume, obviously, the start, the main page is probably like the intro and stuff is probably the biggest thing. Anytime you want to load. There we go. So, Attorney General Merrick B. Garland. So, an attached report is submitted to the Attorney General, blah, 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 blah. So, finally want to thank your officer in permitting the inquiry. Right, reports on the matters related to intelligence activities and investigations arising out of the 26th presidential campaign. So, the introduction would probably give us a lot of what we need. So, the report is submitted to the Attorney General, in which it states that, blah, 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 okay. Is there, like, findings or something? Like, is there... Obviously, you don't want me to sit here and read you the whole 316 pages. Wow, this thing is like really, really slow. Can I actually just download it? Wow. I've never had a PDF this slow before. I've read some massive PDFs in my time. Right. Wow. Okay. And it's that website too. I can't even scroll. Like I can scroll here, but I can't scroll here. They really don't want you to read this thing, do they? Holy shit. Here we go. Let's throw it into downloads. Alright, so download Durham report. Yes, you're a cat. Congratulations. What's going on with this Durham report? Why is this Durham report so freaking hard to open? And this is on my local drive too. Like, anyway. As president, I will end weaponization of the government and replace the FBI director and ensure a single standard of justice for Americans. While I've seen the reports, I have not read the indictment. I do, though, believe we need to enact reforms so the Americans have the right. Yeah, sorry, DeSantis, but you've already taken the polls, buddy. And your establishment, as far as I'm concerned. Even though he continues to push it as a felony, Jack Smith blows all the fake elector claims out of the water here. He acknowledges that having an alternative slate meant and vote prior to the ECA's safe harbour date is a legal strategy to preserve the defendant's right. He literally says that in the argument. He literally says here, it is a legal strategy to preserve the defendant's right. So even though it was a legal strategy to do it, we're still going to charge you with it because we need you out of the election. Trump's courage while facing prosecution at the level usually only inflicted upon religious saints by the demons is an inspiration, and that a country's heart breaks as we witness the rule of law. Yeah. Jack Smith's statement to the media was lame and sounded like he was written by the January 6th committee. He has exposed himself as the partisan hack and skepticism. Oh, wow. Okay, so the judge, this Tanya Chute, who represented Theros and Celia, the firms that hired Fusion GPS to attack the whistleblowers, and then presides as judge in the US House law against Fusion GP. So, you know, she has no partisans whatsoever, right? It's all completely above and off. The Biden administration has now made it a crime to disagree about the legal theories over election contestants. Yeah, pretty much. FBI releases documents to congressional allegation the Bidens took a Humvee buy for bribe. Jack Smith indicts Trump. Yeah. This is what it's actually to. This is also what it's about, guys. It's smoke and mirrors. It's diversion. January 6th, Hunter Biden goes to court and rejects sweetheart plea deal after it was revealed that DOJ tried to give him a blanket immunity for future prosecutions. July 27th, Jack Smith adds more charges to the Trump in the Mar-a-Lago case. July 31, Hunter Biden's former business partner testifies to Congress that Joe Biden was on over 20 calls with his son's business partner and that Burisma execs pressured them to fire the prosecutor. August 1st, Jack Smith indicts Trump against January 6th. It's literally the day after everything. Holy shit. Yeah, pretty much. Exactly what it's about. And this is the big thing here, right? So someone has asked, does any of the charges in the indictment preclude Trump from running and being elected in 2024? And Barnes has said no. Now, by the way, just in case anybody does not know, He's a trial lawyer with high-profile wins for clients in civil and criminal cases, tax law, criminal defense, civil rights, and constitutional law. He's also a political beta. Beta. So he knows his stuff, right? Yeah. Obviously, he's pro-Republican, but he has a really, really good history when it comes to being accurate. And that's the thing about this, right? At the end of the day, is that while I might agree or disagree with someone regarding politics, at the end of the day, if they've got a history of being right, then obviously you're worthwhile taking notice. It just happens that at this point, I do agree with Barnes. Look, at the end of the day, guys, I think this whole indictment thing is debunked. It really, really is. They've already tried to charge him in the Senate for this stuff, and he was acquitted. Their own defense is basically saying that you can't go through and challenge the legal precedents when it comes to the election. And like I said, if you want to go through and claim that anybody has done what they're claiming here, you would have to start with Steele dossier, Russiagate, where they've done the exact same thing. So if it's illegal, then I presume we're going to hear about Hillary Clinton's indictment just around the corner, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, it's yeah. But yeah. So let's just see what it says here. Literally the day after. Literally the day after. Literally the next day again. Literally the next day. It's just, oh my god, it's too good. Anyway, guys, we're probably going to wrap it up there for the day. Yeah. Yeah, this is gonna. Let's just very quickly before we go. Let's go through and check. I don't know if I don't know if the polls are going to be updated. Yeah, it's probably going to be about a week before those polls come out. But it'd be interesting to see what happens with the polls after the indictment, because I imagine there's going to be more of a shift towards Trump. But guys, let us know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Obviously, this video has been helpful. Please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Guys, this will be just the story we're covering for today. And obviously, it's hard to find anything else because this is just basically drowning out everything. So tomorrow we'll be back with the 3 stories. But obviously this is the big thing for the day, is Trump being indicted. Literally the day after, you know, that guy testifies that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden like collaborated with like 20 phone calls, and yeah, complete timing is, you know, not of interest, of course. It's completely irrelevant. Have a great night, guys. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you in the next tomorrow's video tomorrow.